What up, nerds? Rick back again with installment number 2 of the Grey Knight Brotherhood redesign project that I'm doing because I'm bored and I find it fascinating. So let's just get right into it. We're going to start with the second Brotherhood, the Blades of Victory. The lore of the second Brotherhood is that they are run by Grandmaster Borth Mordrak, who is the Admiral of the Fleet. And what that means is that they control a lot of the space assets that the Grey Knights have. While other Brotherhoods go on a mission and they might sound a strikes cruiser or two, the second Brotherhood kind of controls most of the spacecraft that the chapter has. The other thing that they rely on is rapid deployment of strike squads and interceptor squads to take the enemy by surprise. They also do these attack actions in concert with those space assets that I spoke about. So keeping all of this in mind, we're going to try to redesign the second Brotherhood here. Let's go over the things that they currently have and what I think that their status is and what I want to do with them. So the first thing is they have a stratagem, Radiant Strike. You can use it in your charge phase, and for every model that you have, when you end a charge within engagement range of an enemy unit, you can roll 1d6, and then if those dice meet or exceed the toughness of the unit that you're in engagement with, you do 1 mortal wound, which is not that great. While doing mortal wounds in the charge phase is great, the things that you are going to be charging where you have a decent chance of this going off are going to be against T3 and T4 models, and generally speaking, you're going to kill them anyway. You have a 0% chance of doing any mortal wounds to anything toughness 7 or higher, and toughness 5 and 6 get really dicey with the amount of mortal wounds that you're actually going to get through. I think this can be improved. You'll see how later. The second thing is they have the Warlord trait, Vanguard Aggression. After deployment, and after you know who goes first, you get to select your Warlord and then 1 core unit within 9 inches of it, and both of the Warlord and that unit can move up to 6 inches. This is good. This is very flavorful for this Brotherhood as well. Their Brotherhood power, Inescapable Pursuit. It's not anything super unique, but it does allow the unit that it is cast on to reroll their charge. So in combination with the using your command point reroll to reroll a charge, you can have 2 units reroll their charge in 1 turn. So it's very good, very rapid. I'm going to keep this here. The design philosophy that I'm looking for with this Brotherhood is that it should incentivize the player to bring strike squads and interceptors while allowing them to move quickly, strike hard, and then also call for supporting orbital fire. Getting into the passive bonuses that this Brotherhood would have, I like to play into the tides and bring them out and use them as more of an army-centric feature. And that's no different here with the second Brotherhood. So what I would like to see is that while the Tide of Celerity is active, strike squads and interceptor squads can declare a charge after they advance. It's very good. We all know how ridiculously good advance and charge is. Looking at you, turn 2 Drakari. Then also, once per unit per game at the start of the command phase, you can pick 1 Blades of Victory core or character unit. You can have them act as if they are also within the Tide of Celerity and the tide that the rest of the army is in. If you have your army in Tide of Convergence, you can put 1 unit into Tide of Celerity and Tide of Convergence, and then they get to advance and charge, and when they swing, they get to do their mortal wounds on wounds of 6. The stratagem. Now this is a little bit wonky. This is me kind of going out on a limb a bit. We all know about the Silence Bombardment stratagem, and we all know that it is effectively the Grey Knight's version of the Space Marines Orbital Bombardment strat. It's exactly the same in every way except for the name. Well, I wanted to go ahead and make it a little bit better, and by better, I mean instead of selecting 1 point on the battlefield that you're going to call a strike down in on, you're going to select 2. The only caveat is those 2 points have to be at least 9 inches away from one another. Now my idea is that while you're advancing towards them, you could put down orbital fire in their backfield and force them to either take it or come advance and come get you. This would help you move SMS Tau battle suits. This would help you remove Hive Guard, make them move so that either they get to take a bunch of mortal wounds or they get to come out and play. Is it good? I don't know. Is it flavorful? I think so. Could it work? Who knows? And then the relic. I want to add a relic, the warp sharpened blade. Infantry model equipped with a Nemesis Force Halberd or Nemesis Force Sword only. Each time the bearer makes a melee attack on an unmodified wound wall of 5+, saving throws can't be made. At all. Not invul saves, not armor saves. They go right through. I think this is really interesting. It is directly a copy, word for word, of one of the relics in the Genestealer cult book. So there's definitely precedent here that this exists and it is real. This is not me making something up entirely, but I think it would be interesting. An example list. Again, I have a description down below. This is a 2,000 point list. Start with 8 CP. You have 3 HQs. The first one is a brother captain with the warp sharpened blade, warp shaping as their power, and foretelling of locust. You could also drop foretelling here, switch to noble death instead. You'll be down 10 points, but I think there's a lot of play there where if you move the brother captain up with the strike squads, going ahead and popping off double obsec could be huge in some of these new 2022 missions. There's a mortal wounds librarian. We all know it, we all love it with the psychic epitome. And then a combi melta because I had an extra 10 points and there's nothing else to put it on. And then a Grandmaster Dread Knight with all the typical stuff that it comes with. I did make it the Warlord and gave it a double Warlord trait, so Hammer of Righteousness and Unyielding Anvil, because that obsec aura on a giant base like that is just clutch. It's super nice. You're also going to be moving that guy up with your forces anyway, and they're probably not shooting at it because it has the sigil of exigence and can just jump away. Also gave it Servant of the Throne, and its 2 powers would be Empiric Amplification and Gate of Infinity. For troops, 3x5 strike squads. This is a battalion, so you have to bring 3 troops. Fast attack, you got 30, full complement of 30 interceptors. So you're going to have 45 fast moving advance and charge infantry models in this list that are also potentially OBSEC or double OBSEC. Then finally, rounding out the list, because Dread Knights are still good, you have 2 of the normal Dread Knights with all the fixins. You got the Great Sword, you got the Teleporters, the Silencer, and the Psy Cannon, and they're there with the Grandmaster Dread Knight to make sure that this melee powerhouse list also has good ranged support. Playstyle. How would I play this list? As I said, you're going to have army-wide advance and charge a lot of the time. You're also going to have the reliability that comes from Tide of Celerity. That means that a strike squad has a minimum melee threat range of 15, because your advance will be a minimum of 3 and your charge will be a minimum of 6, and then you get to move 6. Your maximum threat range on a strike squad is now 24 inches. So if everything goes off maximum, that's how far you can move, advance, and then charge. Interceptors are going to have a minimum threat range of 21 inches and a maximum threat range of 30 inches. But if you combine it with the Vanguard Aggression Warlord trait, what happens here is you get to move 6 inches pre. That gives the maximum melee threat range of an interceptor squad 36 inches. It's enormous. All of this combined will make sure that your army is up in the enemy's face as fast as it possibly can be, which is exactly where they want to be. The brother captain can move up with the strike squads, giving everybody the reroll ones to wound aura, and then the relic makes sure that he's a formidable melee combatant regardless of what he's actually going into, which is fantastic. And then, as I already stated, the Dread Knights are there as a solid base of fire with all of their massive amounts of shots that they can put down the table. And then the Grandmaster Dread Knight's OBSEC aura is pretty clutch, and so is that 3-up invul. So that's it. That's my take on the second Brotherhood, the Blades of Victory, and what I think that they could be. Go ahead and leave comments in the description below. Let me know what Brotherhood you want to see next. Go ahead and like, subscribe, all that jazz. Share with your friends. It really does help me out. And don't forget, call your mother.